up.
Welcome to today's roundtable for the Living to 100 Club. Today we're discussing maintaining physical fitness in our senior years, such an important ingredient to living longer and living healthier. Our past roundtable discussions have looked at managing isolation during COVID, celebrating aging, and how older adults can overcome financial barriers. We bring together experts to explore subjects that enhance our senior years, shed light on strategies to live longer, and help us keep the aging process in a positive perspective. I'd like to welcome today's guests. Dr. Ed Barry is a board-certified chiropractic orthopedist and certified laser pain management physician. Dr. Barry has spent the last 38 years helping patients to get back to all the things they used to do after physical setbacks or injuries. Welcome, Ed. Dan McFarlane is a certified personal trainer and a physical therapist assistant who does house calls. He's performed over 15,000 in-home therapy sessions, primarily with senior citizens. As Dan has said, 90% of my patients were prescribed physical therapy because of generalized age-related weakness. And Rico Caveglia is America's healthy aging trainer with a chronological age of 78 and a fitness age of 35. He's a speaker, author of 29 books and DVD programs, and a personal trainer and health coach for 37 years. He is also a multi-gold and silver medalist in the California State Senior Olympics. Rico is also hosting a summit on wellness and self-care with 70 health and wellness experts. We'll hopefully get to that a little later in the program. Thank you all for participating in our conversation today. We know that physical activity and exercise are necessary ingredients, as I've already said, for successful aging, regardless of what age we're at, where we live, or what physical, motivational, or psychological barriers we may encounter. So, what are some of the physical limitations to exercising? How can we incorporate a fitness program in our daily life for those in the 65 and over age group, and even those 90 and over? What are the recommendations for seniors? Is age ever a barrier to being physically fit? And what works when trying to make fitness a regular part of our lives? These are some of the questions we'll address in our conversation with our panel today. So let's start with the obvious. Why is physical fitness so important in our senior years? Dan, let me ask you to start with that. Why is physical fitness so important?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that question. And it's the obvious need for us to maintain our physical selves. I think, just generally speaking, generically speaking, human beings are both spiritual, cerebral, and we're physical. And we were, from what I understand, and it makes sense to me, what I understand about human development is that the brain developed as an adaptation to allow the body to be better at hunting and being mobile, being more strategic. However, something along the way occurred where the brain decided it was going to be the boss. And it figured out all sorts of things to make it easier and easier for human beings to survive. And in that process, it developed that our human bodies have become almost obsolete.
Mm.
And my goodness, does there ever come some negative ramifications from that? Because our nature, our very being is physical. And as we develop and grow into a time when we're not needing our bodies, thinking that our mind, our thoughts, and our technology is going to take care of us, we suddenly realize that I'm in pain. I'm losing my quality of life. And why is that? Well, simply because we neglected to take care of the physical, which normally happened as a just a natural part of being. We were taking care of our body by surviving, by foraging, by roaming, by hunting, by farming,
Sure.
and now we don't need that any longer. And um, so we've trapped ourselves with our ingenuity, with our incredible brains, and they've and technology and science and medicine is allowing us to live longer, but only with the aid of science and prescriptions and surgeries. And so we're in a very strange era when we can live, many people can live a long time, but it's a miserable, unhappy, joyless,
Mm.
unfortunate, and we've all seen it, experience. So I'll just leave it at that because I could go on and on.
Yeah, so we have a lot of conveniences in today's society that allows us to kind of avoid a lot of the physical activity that our ancestors were always
Oh,
engaged in. And consequently, we don't do that physical exercise and physical activity like we used to and like we need. And the bodies do need that. Rico or Ed, any other thoughts on why it's so important in our senior years to stay active?
Well, it's interesting. I was very interested to hear Danny's explanation because it's almost the exact same paradigm that CrossFit uses in advertising its services, and its rigorous
mm,
physical
yeah.
fitness routine. But that's certainly not for most of us as seniors. Exercise is almost a dirty word to seniors because most people, when they get to a ripe old age, they just stop. They haven't done any activity for a long
Mhm.
period of time. And I'll never forget the advice of a drill sergeant I had in basic training, who, when we were all through, he said to us, now most of you guys are probably in the best shape you've ever been in your lives. Don't let go of it. Keep doing things to keep yourself. And those words always stuck with me. And I always made exercise a habit in my life. And
Mm.
it's what I really tried to pass on to my patients in some form or another. And I've had many examples of older patients who have been challenged in that regard. And I remember one woman in particular who had a disabled husband, and she said to me, I do not want to wind up like him. And as a result of that, motivated by that, she joined a senior citizen basic fitness group that was sponsored by a local hospital.
Sure.
And it was the best thing that she had ever done in her life. And she became very, very fit at her advanced age in her 70s. And she was such an example that she went around to different groups, senior groups, with her group to try to coax them into joining this. And she said to me, many of them were so discouraged because they said, "Oh, we could never do that. Look at you, you're fit," as if she got there magically without any effort whatsoever. And she
Yeah.
tried to explain to them in vain that she started just like them with no experience, no background, no prior history of real vigorous physical activity in her life, and yet she was able to achieve that level. And I think that's where a lot of people become discouraged. But the scientific statistics tell us that 2.5 hours a week of exercise can extend life as much as 3 years.
Mhm.
And that is probably one of the best motivations I think that you can give to people as they're aging. Start somewhere, and I think basically you have to start with your physician and an evaluation to find out what limitations or restrictions that you have, so that it fits the program that you're going to want to get into. You don't want to hurt yourself, but you want to have a high regard for whatever physical restrictions or limitations that you may have, so that you can custom fit with the advice of your trainer or the person that you're working with in a gym or in a fitness program, who can customize a program just for you and then bring you along at an appropriate speed and rate that will get you to meet your goals. And those goals are very important, as I'm sure as both Danny and Rico, who have worked with individuals on that level, setting goals for them is really the most important thing. They have to have goals that they've set for themselves that are realistic and that they can achieve within a reasonable period of time so that they can be encouraged to continue forward with this.
Right. Yeah, that's some good advice. And we start where the person is at, right? Rico and I were just talking about that in our podcast last week. Rico, I know you've worked a lot with seniors and offered a lot of coaching experience. So, what do you say to the 70-year-old person who says, "Oh, I'm too old. I don't really need, I'm not going to benefit anymore. It's beyond my capacity." What's the counsel that you offer them?
Well, just to add on what Danny and Ed said, which is I totally agree with all that. Well, first of all, I tell people, it doesn't matter what your age, and that's what my whole ageless living lifestyle is all about. It's not to live your life by your age. It doesn't matter what your age is. What really matters is how you take care of your mind and your body. So we have a saying: we have to age, but you don't have to get old in the process. And old is just a state of your mind and a state of your body, and it's primarily how you take care of your mind and your body. So first of all, it doesn't matter what age you are, no matter what physical condition you're in or your age, you can get yourself fit. And as Ed was saying, the important thing is you don't have to be a triathlete, right? You don't have to go to a boot camp. You just have to get as fit as what will suit your lifestyle. I just hate to see people not be able to do something that physically that they like to do, but they're not fit enough to do it. So if you don't want to climb mountains, you don't have to get in that great of a shape. But if you just want to be able to ride a bike around, with your grandkids or whatever you want to do, I just encourage people that you can get as fit as you need to be to satisfy whatever you want to do in your lifestyle. And the other thing is, well, I want to say what Danny was saying, too, or I think it was you, Joe, is that, yeah, we have convenienced ourselves to death, haven't we? It's just insane. Uh, yeah, so it's all about movement. It's all about keeping your body in movement. And uh, well, maybe I should say this right now. It was only a pretty recent study, and I don't really recall what university or what it was, but it was a peer-reviewed study, and they had two different groups. And one group, they had them do 1 hour of highly intense exercise for a whole hour every day. So those people thought that they were really getting in good shape and they were really, uh, doing themselves good. And the other group, they just had them keep moving. I'm sure you guys have all heard the saying that, sitting is the new smoking, how bad sitting so much is for you. So they have them not sit too long, not sit more than about 30 minutes. And they always get up and they just kept moving throughout their day, light activities. And at the end of the study, they're basing it on weight loss. And the group who just did the movement lost more weight than the people who did high intense hour workout for a whole hour.
Wow.
So really, for as we age, we don't have to beat yourself up, but you got to be consistent. You need to do something every day, and you need to keep moving.
Well, I'm thinking about the audience that may be watching this and they're saying, gee, I'm really busy. I've got a lot of things. I can't incorporate this kind of, exercise regimen into my routine. I live a very active lifestyle and I just don't have time. So what do you say to that person who's really too busy? Ed?
Well, you can wake up in the morning and in 5 minutes, you can do some running in place, jumping jacks, and a variety of exercises, maybe some sit-ups, some push-ups. And it takes about 5 minutes to do that just to get things started, to get the motor to start churning a little bit in the morning. Something very, very easy to do. I like to tell people that if you are engaged in some type of physical activity, and just about everybody has something that they like to do. It might be playing softball with a group, or maybe pickleball, or maybe bowling. What what types of activities do you need to do to stay in shape, to maximize your performance in those activities, and then construct a workout routine based on that? I find that to be highly motivating to people who are looking to try to exercise or start into a program. If they're already involved in another activity for which maybe they haven't really thought about doing an exercise program. I remember, I'm old enough to remember the Jack LaLanne television show And Jack was famous for this. I mean, he had very, very simple exercises that you could do on a chair without any
I
effort,
remember
without
those.
joining a gym. And he motivated people to do just exactly that, to just move, just in a couple of minutes a day when you're sitting somewhere, maybe watching television. Think about how you can move and how you can do that. And a lot of his activities revolved around that, showing people how to do very simple routines and try to keep and maintain some level of fitness during their lifetime and as they got older.
So if the recommendation is, I think I've seen 150 minutes a day, a week rather, of some type of exercise, and that 5 minutes in the morning isn't going to come close to 150 minutes in a week. So what's the minimum? What would you say is the bare minimum that anybody, as long as they're physically capable, anybody should be putting in?
Most doctors would recommend about 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day every day. Um, and and I would say, if you really crunch for time, 15 minutes a day,
Mhm.
we'd get you up to that 2.5 hours a week,
Okay.
I think,
Okay. That's
to
within
meet
reach.
that minimum requirement. But the hope is that once you started to engage in something like that, you would begin, as you start to feel better, to go more and to invest more time into that as you're going forward. And I think that happens for a lot of people.
Right. Right. Dan, any thoughts on that in terms of what the minimum is?
Yes, just let me just step away for just a moment and get something. I'll be right back.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Rico, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, here's what I tell people when they say they don't have time. I say, that's actually the worst excuse possible.
Oh, I didn't
Everybody
have to
has
go. Go
everybody
ahead.
has
I'm
time.
sorry.
Oh, I'll just finish this real quick. Okay. Everybody has the same 24 hours a day, and I can attest to. I'm sure Danny can too. I work with lots of CEOs and high-powered, busy, successful people, and they take time to exercise because they know it's going to make them more productive and more successful, and also feel better. So not having time is a lame excuse, and so I got to I get on their case a little bit, say no, that's not right. If you want to be able to function well and stay healthier and feel good and live longer, you got to get out of that mindset of you don't have time.
Right.
What I
We all have time. We all have the same 24 hours
yeah.
in our day. So people can find the time. Right. Dan, any other thoughts on
Yeah.
that? The
Yeah.
minimums?
Well, the reason people don't exercise or don't benefit from exercise is not that they haven't started a program, they haven't joined a gym. Everybody has. But the primary inhibitors to exercise, the thing that and most people presume that they have to leave their home to exercise. We buy into the marketing. We buy into the fact that, we go to a gym, we see these big impressive machines. Oh my gosh, that's the answer, right? That Cybex circuit, that Nautilus circuit, those impressive machines. And if I don't have that at home, how can I possibly get fit? The two primary inhibitors to people maintaining fitness over their lifetime is that first they quit. And why do they quit? They quit because of convenience. They have to go someplace. They have to get in their car. They have to get dressed up. They have to think about interacting with other people. And of course, during this past year, that was impossible. So I can't imagine the ramifications over the past year of people's health and their weight and all that. But the second thing is one is convenience, the other is time. If it's going to take a lot of time, we're not going to do it. We're just going to shut it down. So in our minds, we're telling ourselves that no, it's as we age and we've fought all the battles and we've retired and our our couch and our television and our device are calling us. We just don't see how exercise is going to fit into our schedule. Well, that's why I created something for myself, but not just for myself, but for others. Um, and it's based on a series of experiences and inspirations that I had during my 50s. I'm 71 now. And what I created was a method of exercising every single day at home in just 10 minutes. And that's what I've done for the past 10 years.
That's right.
10 minutes a day. It's a very specific system that I use and a tool that I developed that facilitates the performance of 20 functional and therapeutic exercises that make up the basis of the health of our musculoskeletal system. I call it Mobility Max
Uh-huh. Yes,
10 minute
we talked about
home
that.
exercise system. Okay. And it that's a little brochure I created. And this is the manual that shows the various exercises that I do every day in 10 minutes, 20 of them. And yes, I need a little more exercise than that. I need some cardiovascular. You're not going to get that in 10 minutes, but it certainly prepares you to now go do your walking, your jogging, your running, your riding, stair stepping, whatever you want to do, your pickleball, your tennis. And I am phenomenal results from my 10-minute program. It was inspired by Dr. Weisberg, who's a physical therapist up in Great Neck, New Jersey, I recall. He's retired now, but he wrote a book called 3 Minutes to a Pain-Free Life. And he developed a 3-minute, 6 exercise daily routine for people that would take care of their joints. And I learned so much from that. I inspired me so much that I just incorporated his 3 minutes and his 6 exercises into my 10-minute, 20 exercise routine. So yes, at home we can exercise. People are not going to do it because if they're just left to their own wits and coming up with something, and the things you mentioned, doctor, are appropriate. Yes, the jumping jack's fantastic. Hula hoops, jumping rope, all of that. But if we don't get if it's not a if we don't have a routine, we're just going to become non-compliant with it and we're going to fall off. But anyways.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. It really is, as you say, a matter of setting up this kind of regular behaviors for consistency, something that's practical. And I think kind of what you're alluding to, Rico, is that we have the time, and it's really a mindset saying, I do need to include this in my day-to-day lifestyle. I do need to find the time. It's that mindset that kind of shifts our whole way of looking at things, and that's what's missing, I think, in so many cases where people say, "Oh, I'm just too weak, or I don't have the strength, or whatever's going on," and it's really that mindset that we really need to kind of reframe our whole view about this. And that's one of the reasons for doing this, because I think there are a lot of people that just are sedentary and they think it's beyond, doing anything now. It's too late, or I'm 70 years old, I'm overweight, I'm not going to be able to get anywhere. And we know that's not true. So how do we motivate? We can say that, all right, it doesn't take a lot of time, 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes a day. If you have some piece of equipment like Dan is talking about, Mobility Max, and there are certain regular types of behavior, the aerobics, the strength training, and I think, Rico, you talked about flexibility. That's one of the three legs of that stool, right?
Yeah,
Training
yeah, that's
aerobics.
really, yeah, that's really most important as we age. A true measure of your age really is how good is your posture, how well can you move, how flexible are you? That's the true measure of your age. So what I recommend to my clients and to everyone is if you would just establish this, I mean, we're creatures of habit anyway, right? So we got to create a habit of, if you will just take 15 minutes before you go to bed and do some basic, I have like a basic 7 stretches. And if you'll just get out on the floor, relax, slow your mind down, and do these basic stretches. You need to stretch every day because, we're sitting, our hamstrings are getting tight. And just do these basic stretches every day before you go to bed. First of all, it'll make you to relax and help you to sleep better. And if you can't spend 15 minutes to do a flexibility program, I don't know what to tell you, because it's going to be so valuable for you. Because as you know, you see older people that are walking around all stiff and they're moving real slow. Why does that happen? It's just because they allowed their connective tissues and their muscles to shorten up and get stiff. And you don't have to do that. If you stretch every day, you can be flexible every day. So I have a saying: if you do it every day, you can do it every day. And just to add on what Danny said, absolutely, you don't need any equipment. What I teach, what I call functional fitness. It's doing things that'll help you to function in your daily life, and you don't need any equipment. You just need your own body weight. You can hold on to the kitchen counter and do squats. You can do bends. You can do kicks. You can do lunges. You can do push-ups. You can get a complete whole body workout without any equipment right at home, just like Danny said.
Those are techniques that have become increasingly more valuable during the pandemic too, when people don't have the availability of all of the paraphernalia and the equipment, unless of course you can go out and buy a Peloton or something like that.
That's pretty cool.
That's beyond,
Those are pretty cool.
the average person.
And all the encouragement to be social and be in groups and be a part of a gym or a class or something like that. That's not working anymore. So people are really more isolated, not by their choosing, but so we have to be able to adapt. And as you talk about, doing things in our own homes can make a difference. I know the gyms are frantically trying to reopen, and here in California, they found a lot of different kind of workarounds, and people really need to get to the gyms. But if they can't, they got to find ways to do it at home. So Rico, I can appreciate that.
We had a significant case here in New Jersey, which you guys have probably heard about. There was a fellow who owned a gym and his partner in Belmar, New Jersey, who were closed down by the state because we had a pretty rigorous shutdown and restrictions here in New Jersey ordained by the governor. And he refused to go along with it because his philosophy was that now more than ever, his clients needed to be able to get in and exercise.
Absolutely.
And he has had a sterling record. He has had no incidences or cases of COVID since he reopened his gym.
Wow.
He's being fined every single day by the governor of the state. And yet he continues on, and he's filing a lawsuit against the state. And everybody here hopes that he's successful with it. But he's got a great philosophy, and he's very persistent.
Yeah, that's an important fight. Yeah, we've had similar cases here.
I just did a stint as a personal trainer at the local YMCA here in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. And as you may know, Florida is less stringent. I just got back from eating at my favorite restaurant, Carrabba's, sitting at the bar. every other chair was not available, but I mean, here in Florida, I must tell you, we're pretty wide open. Yeah. But it's everything. People are wearing masks and gives a comfort level, but the shopping malls are open, have been, and the restaurants, and the roads are filled, and even a assisted living facility that I'm going to tomorrow to play music is now opening up. Of course, the patients have recently been vaccinated, or excuse me, the residents. But at the gym, the YMCA, where I was at, it was something I wanted to experience. I got certified as a personal trainer 6 months ago, and it's not my philosophy. I mean, I learned a lot, but the gym is not my philosophy, and I think there are many inhibitors to people going to gyms. But I would see, and we would clean it a couple times a day with the aerosols and so forth. But I'd see a lot of interesting groups of people come in. You come in with a mask on, and then when you're going to exercise, you can take your mask off. But
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and so but the clientele was interesting. You have the typical young people, bodybuilders, enthusiasts, and the girls in the spandex coming in, and then you have the older folks. The YMCA is just a wonderful place, great culture. I'm not there any longer because it's tedious to me. I can't train people on those machines. I have to train people my way with my methods. But anyways, then I'd see the older people, the people post-orthopedic or cardiovascular problems and heart attacks and so forth come in, and they're just trying to make those darn machines help them, and they go through the motions. I'm glad they get out and they come there, but they're not getting that much value from it. Those machines that isolate on one muscle at a time and one movement at a time. But yeah, our gyms are functioning, and So it's good people get out, but it's only such a small percentage of those
Very small. Yeah.
that really, yeah, they represent just the tip of the iceberg. Those few that come in there, 60, 70, or 80, they come in there uh, and know that this is their last stand in terms of maintaining their independence and their quality of life. And they're just the tip of the iceberg. For every one of them that comes in there, there's 1,000 out in the community that aren't doing anything
They're
just
not,
like that.
of course.
Well, as you mentioned before, Danny, when people go into those gyms, especially elderly folks, they're intimidated by
Yes.
the equipment and by the
Oh, yeah.
machines,
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah.
some of them are like science projects. You need to study the placards to understand exactly how you should do it
Uh-huh.
and to get
Yeah.
benefit from it and not injure yourself.
Thank you. Yes, they're horrible. They're like medieval, torture racks to strap yourself into those machines. They were awful. I just
Yeah,
was so depressed. I wanted to be there, and I wanted to be doing some personal trainer there with that. I just couldn't do it. At the end, I had to just. Mm-mm.
yeah, I just want to add, yeah, I agree. I mean, machines have their place, mostly for rehabilitation.
Yes.
That's where they originally came from. You can isolate a certain muscle, and that's good. But I totally agree. Again, that's why I like to train people with just using their own body weight. That's what I
Yes,
call
sir.
functional fitness. And
Hmm.
I want to add too that here in San Diego, for quite a while, they even shut down the parks and things. And I work with a lot of my clients I still work with. We work out outdoors. That's the best place to get out in the sun and the air and fresh air, and you feel so much more invigorated. And they even closed down the parks, and I was really upset with that. And they finally opened that up because, I mean, that's people need to be outside, not shut up into a home all day with bad air. That's the worst quality of air. That's where you're going to get sick is inside your house. Really, you need to get out, get fresh air. You need to move your body. You need to get sunshine. You need to get some vitamin D. You need to go out and move, even just go out walking, but go to the parks and get outside and move. That's where you need to be.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Being in a confined place is one of the riskiest environments that you can
Yeah.
possibly be in during
Yes.
a pandemic.
So
Absolutely.
let me shift to a little different subject here because part of the concern is a lot of the seniors that we work with have some level of physical disability or physical impairment, or maybe a history of chronic pain, or maybe maybe some hip fracture or shoulder fracture. So how do we kind of adjust to working with somebody? I know, Rico, you've talked about working with people in wheelchairs, and Ed, I know you've worked with a lot of chronic pain patients. But how do you adjust to the person with severe arthritis or chronic pain, or again, the hip fracture? How can they stay physically active? It's maybe beyond the rehabilitation phase. What comes after that?
If you're looking at what is the general purpose of exercise, and both Danny and Rico touched about on all of them. I mean, basically, what you're trying to achieve is endurance, flexibility, balance, and strength.
Hmm.
So you take somebody like that who has limitations, and for me, within those four, I think the two most important would be strength, because we lose so much muscle mass so rapidly as we age, and balance, which deteriorates also very rapidly as we age. So within the restrictions that that individual has, you need to find activities for which they can perform in that. Now, with strength, all the exercises that they were talking about before that can be done in the home with a simple apparatus, or like Jack LaLanne had demonstrated using a chair. Those are things that probably somebody can easily do with significant restrictions. Balance as well. And the amazing thing about this is that we live in a wonderful age where there's so much information available. You can probably find anything demonstrated on YouTube.
Yeah,
That's right.
sure.
Yes.
And see, that fits the bill for you, for whatever restriction you have. I'll never forget a story that I had read in a study that was done at a hospital several years ago, where they took a gentleman who was wheelchair bound. He had, and he was amputated on one side in his leg above the knee. He was an insulin dependent diabetic, and he was also on high blood pressure medication. And the trainers took him and they really put him through his paces. I mean, he had to work hard. He was wheelchair bound because he had a prosthesis, but he couldn't wear it comfortably. And by the time they got done with him, after 6 weeks, he was out of the wheelchair, walking with his prosthesis, off of the insulin, and off of the blood pressure medication. So there really is, I mean, you set your own limitations, you set your own restrictions for even somebody like that in an extreme state of ill health. There is the potential to reap tremendous rewards with exercise. But in a case like that, it took people who were very knowledgeable and who could direct him and put him in a place that he felt comfortable with. Now, it was uncomfortable for him, but it doesn't have to be for everybody.
Sure. So just
I-
quickly, what's a balance exercise you recommended to patients?
What type
A
of,
balance. What exercise would you recommend to maintain or increase your balance?
I think Tai Chi is probably the easiest
Yeah.
thing to do, and under instruction, proper instruction,
Yes.
and you can get videos for that or on YouTube.
Okay.
Very simple, very good for balance. I would put that as probably number one, and even yoga. Although for elderly patients who have restrictions in mobility, they have to be careful about some of the postures. And that they can discuss with a good yoga instructor who can kind of steer them away with the knowledge of their restrictions,
Sure.
away from the particular movements that might cause them problems.
Sure. Yeah. Dan, I cut you off. You were going to say.
Well, that's okay. These
Yeah.
are great comments.
Yeah.
I was just going to say
Yeah.
that one of the great inhibitions to exercising for folks is once they get injured, once they, especially a joint that's painful, then we tend to let that be the boss of our whole body. We tend to shut everything down for fear of making it worse, or if we have a heart problem, or if we have a strained muscle, or the pain. We tend 90% of our body might be great. It might be healthy, but we're going to shut down everything because of that knee or that hip or that ankle or that shoulder.
Right.
I just went through an experience this last year. So goodbye last year. But starting before the pandemic even hit, I tore my calf muscle. I was on the beach, St. Pete Beach, with all of those crazy kids, and I was throwing the aerobie disc, which flies 100 yards, me and my buddy, and I jumped, and all of a sudden I felt a snap right in the base of my calf, and I want to tell you, it put me down. I was on a walker for a couple days. But using my system every single day, I was able to work around that, and keep the 90% of me together. Then I went back and did it again a couple
Oh,
months
really?
later,
Oh,
and because I didn't do the soft tissue mobilization I should have done. I didn't do the foam rolling on that scar tissue and really rehab it. And then I had another thing, but anyways, a series of things that I had on my right leg, which I'm right side dominant, could have shut me down and really dropped me to a lower level of functioning and fitness. And that's what happens. We plateau down when we have these injuries or these surgeries or the illnesses, and we have to be thinking about exercise even when we're not feeling good.
yeah. That's a good point. I hadn't ever heard that. That's really important that we really have the full picture. Otherwise, if we focus on just that one setback, that one obstacle, or that one limitation, we lose track of what the rest of the body needs. So that's really important, Dan. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, Rico?
Yeah, a couple of things here. I want to talk about balance, but just on what Danny was saying, when you have some injury, whether it's muscle or joint, it, rest, maybe initially very short time. I know Ed knows this, but now, man, what you need to do is move it. You need to get it moving. You need to get circulation. You need to move it. You don't need to let it sit there and get stiff and stagnant. So whatever injury you have, that's actually the body part that you need to start working on. That's the one that needs the attention, not hold back and say, oh, I can't do nothing with this. So that's so important that you need to, just like Danny did. If you start putting some energy into whatever area or thing that's having the problem, then you're going to get some good results and you know, improve it. And then on balance, balance is so important. It's, I mean, I see it with so many people, and there's two basic exercises that I have people do, you know, to improve their balance. So the first thing to realize that balance is all about the hips. It's all about shifting the weight in your hips. So it's all about shifting the weight to to one leg. So just a basic exercise is to just shift all the way to one leg and then raise your foot up. If you can, you know, bring your leg all the way up, but and just be able to stand on one leg. And if you're having trouble with that, which a lot of people actually do, you can stand next to a chair or counter or something, so in case you need to hold on to it. But just go back and forth, shift over to the left leg, bring your right leg up, shift over to the right leg, bring your
Right.
left leg
Leg
up.
balance, good.
Yeah. If you just keep doing that, that'll improve. And then a little bit more difficult one is to stand upright and line up your feet in a parallel line. You know, like put your right foot right in front of your left foot.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of people can't even do that with your arms down to your side.
Yeah.
And then, but then just keep working on it, and pretty soon you'll get that muscle brain connection. And then when you can do that, okay, then you close your eyes. That's a little more difficult, you know.
Mhm.
But if you did that every day, and then close your eyes, you greatly improve your balance.
Yeah.
So no matter what condition you have, no matter what age, you can definitely improve it a lot.
Yeah, that's so important, Rico, because one of the leading causes of disability in many seniors is falls, which result in hip fractures,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
oftentimes lead to death, especially in significantly elderly people. And developing that kind of balance really helps to prevent a significant injury such as that. So
yeah.
it's really critical.
Yeah, that's an important point. Yeah, so all variations of Tai Chi movement, it sounds like. I read somewhere just brushing your teeth on one foot is a good way to try to
Yeah.
achieve balance. I have difficulty with that.
When I'm in the grocery store, if I'm standing in line,
Yeah.
I'm holding my cart and I'm standing on one leg, and
Uh-huh.
I'm just kind of doing a little balance. There's so many moments we can steal during the day in order to provide some physical benefit to ourselves. Our body is our gym. We've got the most complicated machine in the universe, and we just need. But we didn't get an owner's manual when we were born.
Well, now
We,
there is one. That's a.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah,
I started to butt in, but we have one now, right, Joe?
that's Rico's venture.
That's just what I created.
Brilliant.
oh,
Yeah,
wonderful,
Yeah.
smart.
it's called the Ageless Body Self-Care Guide Operations Manual for the Human Body and Mind.
Oh,
And I
brilliant.
interviewed like 75 top wellness and self-care
Wow.
experts.
Where was I?
Uh, and yeah, it's online now.
Or you did.
I'll let you guys know. Yeah, you'll let you guys know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you tell us how people can access it, Rico? I know it's
Yeah,
available for a
we
little
extended
while.
it for another week, so
Yeah.
there's like 70, about 75 videos that you can view for free with it. If you go to yourselfcareguide.com
Okay.
/7 days free, the number 7 days free, you can go and watch those videos for free. And then of course you can buy the whole package, which includes the videos, audio, transcript, and summaries of all these different tips and strategies, all different areas of how to take care of your eyes, your teeth, your heart, your hair, everything, and then your mind, and so many things. It's amazing. It came out to be really a truly amazing product that can really help a lot of people, I think, and
That's
save lives.
Rico, are you familiar with Dr. Weisberg's book, 3 Minutes to a
No,
Pain-Free Life?
I'll
It's a
check it out.
brilliant, brilliant summation of the biological needs of joints and muscles, primarily, and tendons, the soft tissue and ligaments. And it's a brilliant breakdown. And I think you would find that really, you've already done all your work and your
Yeah.
research, but I just highly recommend you look at that book.
Is it WISEBERG or
Weisberg,
BURG?
WEIS, I believe it's BERG, Dr. Weisberg,
Okay.
3 Minutes to a Pain-Free Life.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Very practical guide for a 3 minute maintenance program. It's like
Okay.
it's like the owner's manual for the human body.
Well,
And
on your point about when you're just standing in line at the grocery store, I have a thing too. I tell people it's called ABS, which is spells abs, but what it stands for is always be stretching. So you can
Ah,
stand around, you can put your leg up
yes.
on a thing. You can
Uh-huh.
be, you can put your hand, you
Uh-huh.
can move your neck. You can always be moving, always be stretching. I always do that. People look at you, but I say, hey, how come you're not doing that?
I created I created a an exercise program for when you're sitting in your airline seat, how to exercise from head to toe
Hmm.
without bothering anyone next to you. You can
That's cool.
literally move every aspect of your body to some extent. Just start at the top and go down. I didn't quite complete it, but I was in the video studio. I think it's somewhere in somebody's video archives right now. Too
Yeah,
bad I didn't.
even if you just do isometric, just tighten up your muscles and let
Yes,
them go.
it
Yeah,
involved isometrics, absolutely, and also just range of motion, rotation of the shoulders,
yeah.
going
Move your
through,
neck, move your head,
boom,
move.
yeah, get those shoulders. People don't realize that, you know, the, the hips and the shoulders are very similar. The body's not, it's complex, but you can break it down. The hips and the shoulders are similar. The elbows and the knees are similar. The ankles and the wrists are similar. So if we know what they're supposed to do in terms of range of motion and we just practice that every day, it's like the gate that in the back of your yard or the door. If you go use it every day and just swing it open, it's going to work. But if you forget about it for 10 years and go try to swing it open, those hinges are corroded.
Yeah.
So
Now, Ed, last time you and I spoke, you were working on your equipment there for reducing back pain. What can you tell us
oh,
about that? Is that
The lift device, which was designed as actually a better mousetrap than the gravity inversion swinger, the teeter, where you hang upside down, because
yeah.
it actually produces um, a type of movement, dynamic movement, flexion distraction in a very comfortable position, laying down,
Wow.
which you can do easily in about 10 or 15 minutes every day, and several times a day if you like, which really addresses most of the chronic and severe lower back problems that people experience on a daily basis. And lower back pain is probably, if not the number one, the number two reason that people will go into a doctor's office. And it's also become the number one reason for the prescription of opioid medication. So
Mhm.
when we talk about restrictions to exercise, it's a big one. So we wanted to develop something that would enable people to get back to the ability to move comfortably and be able to re-engage in their exercise program as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
We feel that this device probably unlocks the door to that. Uh,
Yeah. Is it
I'll tell
available yet?
we're going to be in production hopefully um, by the beginning of in the fall.
Uh-huh.
Uh, right now, we're starting a seeding program in physical therapy offices and chiropractic offices. We want to try to get some more substantiation for the device and a little bit more research before we start to distribute it to the public. But we think it's going to be a real good device.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
it sounds like it. You be sure to keep me apprised of that so I can let
Oh,
our audience know about it.
absolutely, absolutely.
What's the name of that device?
It's called the Lift.
Okay.
It's called the Lift. Very, very simple device, and it's featured on our website. Back to BAACK the number 2.com. And there's a little video that illustrates how the device is used, and it gives a little bit of an explanation. So we're looking forward to that.
Great.
I got a couple of funny stories for you about the
Yeah.
theories of exercise.
Okay.
When I was in my 20s, I used to go to a general practitioner who was an old Russian doctor who actually was a battlefield surgeon in Stalingrad. And he told me that he could actually hypnotize himself into lifting weights and produce a sweat in his body. And I didn't have enough information about science at the time to question the veracity of that claim. Another story that I read in Reader's Digest years ago was by a cardiologist who swore that you only had so many heartbeats in the course of a lifetime So why waste them on exercise?
That's kind of the Jim Fix line. They said we only can run so many miles, and Jim Fix ran too many miles in his lifetime. That's why.
Well, that's like that joke too. Is I forgot who said it. Some old time comedian guy. He said, every time I get the urge to exercise, I take a nap and it goes away. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
know,
Joe.
you mentioned Jim Fix. There was another doctor in his era,
Mhm.
Dr. Sheeran, and he was a noted cardiologist who began running very late in life. He didn't start running marathons and long distance races until he was 45. And he conducted a very interesting study where he looked at marathon runners who generally don't reach maturity in their performance until they're in their like early to mid 30s. And he wanted to see if they stayed fit over the course of a lifetime, what the loss of capacity was for their performance. And he studied these fellows that had stayed active in the sport until later in life. And even into their 60s, they only lost about 15 to 20%
Wow.
of their performance
Yeah.
ability. Now, that I've never seen a study that was conducted across the rest of the population or in sports or in athletes. But I think it could be extended to everybody, where as we age, if we maintain a certain level of fitness, we're really not going to lose that much. And I think that should be encouraging to just about anybody who initiates an exercise program or continues with an exercise program if they've been involved.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is important advice.
If I may, I just like to add, you know, any kind of really any extreme activity in sports really is not healthy. It's not really good for us.
True.
Any kind of
That's
extreme
right.
it's
That's right.
fun. Playing sports is fun, but if
Yeah.
you really wanted to just keep your body in the best condition and intact and healthy all your life, you would just do things like walk, swim,
Tai
yoga.
Chi.
You wouldn't you wouldn't beat yourself up. All these things are fun to do
Mhm.
in sports, but they're not really healthy for you. So if you really just want to be able to move and be pain-free and be functional all your life, you really need to just kind of take it easy on your body, especially as we age. It takes longer to recover from any kind
Yeah.
of, so especially as we age, we don't need to do any real strenuous exercise unless you really love it and want to. You just have to keep moving, really. You just got to
Yeah.
keep moving your body.
We don't need to push ourselves to the max. So
No,
yeah,
absolutely not.
that's a good point. That's a good point, Rico. Looks like we're going to have to wrap up in a minute or two. So let me ask you, what's a word of advice you would offer to our audience, each of you? Ed, what would you recommend to people who want to maintain their,
Well,
physical fitness in their
no
senior
matter
years?
what age you are, it's never too late to start. And I'll recall another story, and this was local, about an 80-year-old gentleman who had never run before in his life. And he started running, and his wife was shocked that he started to do this. And he found that in his age group, he was winning a lot of races because all the guys that were in his age group that had been running their whole life were worn out. Their knees were shot, their hips were shot. So
That's
he
right.
started
Thanks, Doc.
coming home with first place trophies, second place trophies, and then he started the invitations to meets all over the country.
Well,
And his wife thought it was the greatest thing because now he had this activity that he could involve with. But you're right,
great.
people do overdo it, and there's no need to really do that rigorous. It can be very, very simple, but it's so important to just keep moving. You have to move.
No, it's never too late to start. That's a good piece of
Exactly.
advice. Yeah. Dan?
Yeah, uh, I'd say just to the folks that might be watching this and thinking about how to get going, remember, movement is medicine, and your body is your vehicle, and you want to take care of it. And you don't have to go to a gym. You don't need complicated machines. People have stayed fit for thousands of years, and they didn't have gyms and machines. Don't think you have to leave your house to stay fit. Find your exercise at home. Get a jump rope. Do some jumping. Watch some old Jack LaLanne videos. Get strip it down. Be minimalist, and that's where the value is. And I've created that. Anytime anyone wants to hear about it, I'll be glad to tell them. But that's my story.
Yeah.
Is to keep it at home, because that way you're more likely to do it.
Yeah, that's important. Movement is medicine. I like that. So Dan, your Mobility Max, is there a website, a URL you can share?
Yes, the main website is mobilitymax10, number 10.com, mobilitymax10.com, because it refers to the 10 minutes, and it consists of an apparatus which is so simple. It's a door frame, bedroom. Imagine your bedroom door. That's where mine is, and you can fit a exercise bar precisely to the width of your door frame, and then you can adjust the exercise bar up and down at 14 different levels, starting from the top. So now you can do a series of functional exercise. Here I'm illustrating a modified chin up. And you notice I have the bar at a height where I don't have to have my feet off the ground. And I can use my legs and my arms. And because you have the open vertical plane of the door frame, you can do some really creative things. How about push-ups every day? Gosh, I can't get on the floor. Well, you don't need to. Adjust the bar in your bedroom door to the right height for whatever your strength level is. I like to start with it at, up around my knees, and then do 25, and then take it down, take it down. Wow.
Good product.
Yes, and that's the door. It's a door-mounted exercise bar that fits discreetly, invisibly into your bedroom door. It's strong and sturdy. You can place it at 14 different levels, and then I put a prescription of the 20 exercises you want to do every day, 30 seconds each, just 10 minutes.
Good piece of equipment. Great. Yeah, thanks, Dan. MobilityMax10.com. And
Yes, sir.
Rico, yeah, final words of advice or recommendations?
First of all, I just have to say though, it's quite amazing that the three of us, we have so much in common, and we're also all inventors. I also have a fitness program, a product called the Vitality Stick. It's a stick that I invented that you can do aerobic routine, you can do a stretch routine, and you can do a strength routine all at your home with too. It's called Vitality Stick. But my message to the people, just like what Ed and Danny said, is it's all about your mindset. You've got to change your mindset that you can do it, you can get as fit as you want to be, and that you have plenty of time to do it. And there's no any kind of thing you have is just an excuse, So let go of the excuses, and you can do it. We know you can do it. All of us know you can do it, and many people do it too. So just get out and move and just do it. That's it.
Good advice. Good advice. Thanks. And again, Rico, your Ageless Summit is, what's the URL again?
Yeah, it's your selfcareguide.com/7 days free. So you can watch all these amazing video trainings from all these top experts for free for 7 days.
Great, thank you. And then Ed, your website again is back to BAACK.
BAACK
2.com.
the number 2.com.
Great. Well, this has been great. This is just what I was hoping for, sharing a lot of insights and recommendations and your own experiences as trainers and as really good therapists, physical therapists, and really making a difference, because it's just more education. The more we can convey the importance of these ingredients for successful aging, I think the better off we are. So I really appreciate your contributions to our discussion tonight, and thank you all for being part of this.